Well, we have a lot to look at when it comes to Minnesota Wild defenseman Quinn Hughes. Now, here's the thing. I'm recording this audio on Friday, August 7th. If Quinn Hughes is actually signed by the time this video is up on YouTube, then we'll retcon it. We'll do something else. I apologize. But as of right now, Quinn is still unsigned. And we're going over what Elliotte Friedman went out there and spoke about in regards to the Quinn Hughes lack of extension, whether or not it's time to panic, and what Elliotte should do with that big beard. First, we have to acknowledge the specifics. Quinn Hughes is an NHL defenseman who is signed till the end of 2027. This is the last year of his deal. He is eligible to sign an extension, that in which has not been accomplished at the time of me speaking into this microphone. $7.85 million a year for a guy that is literally number 1/number 2 in the NHL for defensemen on any given night. He is getting paid less money than both of his brothers, including the youngest brother Luke, who is making $9 million a year. With guys like Bowen Byram making 12.5, Quinn Hughes at 7.8 is an absolute steal. Last season, Quinn Hughes was able to get 76 points in a split season between Vancouver and the Minnesota Wild. He had 76 points in 68 games the year before that, and 92 points in 82 games in a Norris-winning season, which included 17 goals. Quinn Hughes was a beast. In the Stanley Cup Playoffs, he had 15 points in 11 games, and at the Olympic Games, he had 8 points in 6 games. He was the best defenseman at the Olympics, and just the way he commanded the game, the way he controlled the ice, I mean, say what you want about Quinn Hughes and his personality, whether or not he was the right fit to be the captain for Vancouver, I will adamantly say that he was not the right fit. This is one of the most talented people on the planet when it comes to playing the sport of ice hockey, let alone the fact that he's a defenseman. So, heading into this upcoming season, Quinn Hughes needed to sign a contract extension in order for Minnesota Wild fans to feel happy and comfortable. This is what Elliotte Friedman said earlier in the summer. He projected Quinn Hughes could sign a 3-year, $54 million extension sometime in July. It's now 1 week into August, and the Wild still have no deal. The delay does not prove talks are in trouble, but it does weaken the earlier sense that an agreement was close. Minnesota wants certainty around its franchise defenseman. Hughes still controls the most important part of the negotiation, how many years he is willing to commit. The expected July signing never arrived, and now the silence is becoming a part of the story. That's what Friedman said, 3x18 mil sometime in July. This is what was reported by Michael Russo 2 days ago regarding the Wild. Back in early June, Bill Guerin and Quinn Hughes met. Quinn continued his talk that he wanted to re-sign. And I think that was again conveyed to them last week when they met in Detroit. So I'm kind of wondering, if Quinn Hughes and Bill Guerin met in June, and Quinn told Bill Guerin, hey, I want to sign. And then last week, Quinn Hughes and Bill Guerin met again, this time in Detroit, and Quinn said once more, hey, I want to sign. Why the hell is the guy not signed? What's going on here, man? Now, Elliotte Friedman had himself a segment on NHL Network where he spoke about the Quinn Hughes situation. This came yesterday, and some of the notes were posted about on the Minnesota Wild subreddit. Friedman said on the broadcast, I will worry if this contract extension is not done by the start of the season. So that seems to be our pseudo-quasi-worry timeline for Minnesota fans. If the season comes and Quinn is not signed at that point, then maybe it's time to worry. Then maybe it's time to start thinking about whether or not a trade is possible or a trade is necessary. I mean, this is the same kind of conversation that we had with Mitch Marner once upon a time, and we all know how that turned out. PK Sullivan on the Minnesota Wild subreddit said this: national media is covering the Minnesota Wild? What a time to be alive. Earlier, Elliotte Friedman also mentioned that Hughes and Makar are in a standoff, seeing who flinches first and who sets the market. That's the Reddit user's own paraphrase. Quinn Hughes, B-Day Twin, says, I'll be worried if he's traded. Friedman said he thinks it could not be that he knows they're in a standoff. He doesn't really have a line of sight into that negotiation. This Reddit user said in the mega thread earlier, it seems really clear that Brisson and Guerin are only giving small information to Michael Russo at this point, and even then, it's just the top line. Russo has been screaming for weeks on end since May that it wouldn't be done in July, and everyone has been ignoring him. He was the only one who was told Guerin was meeting with Hughes in Detroit. I think they're really controlling what info is getting out there because Guerin is pissed about how Carels' negotiations went off the rails. What's good about this interview, though, with Elliotte Friedman, is that he also doesn't mention anything about Quinn wanting to play in Jersey, nor does he mention anything but Quinn re-signing. He just is surprised his own guess about July wasn't right. He should have just asked Russo. I think Guerin and Quinn met in June, and Quinn was like, I've been invited to all these things, and Guerin was like, cool, go have fun, and we'll meet at the end of July and get started. And that's what happened. Gosh, I can't wait for a new headshot. Quinn looks like he just got home from war. I hate to tell you this, but the new headshot will also look like he just got home from war. That's just how he looks. And yeah, you know what? That actually is true. You look at Quinn Hughes and the headshot that they use on the broadcast. What happens if I make this full screen? Can I just zoom in? Yeah, okay. I mean, it's right there. The guy has that face. And that's not, you know, any product of his own personality or whatever. It's just how he looks. Either way, all war memories aside, if Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar are in some sort of a standoff with each other, that would honestly make sense, right? It's kind of the same thing with the Bedard, Celebrini, Carlson, Fantilli discussion. Not saying that any one of those guys in particular were necessarily looking onto the test papers of the other one, but agents, they know what the market is like, and they know the impact that other players can have on their own clients. So for Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar, two guys whose contracts are expiring at the end of this season, Makar's making $9 million, Quinn is making $7.8 million, Quinn's 26, Makar is 27. Obviously, these two guys are 1 and 2 in the NHL in overall defenseman skill. Whomever gets the first contract will set the market for the other one. And I would probably say, like, based off of how the Colorado Avalanche handled the Nathan MacKinnon discussions from multiple years ago, where they paid him just $100,000 more than Connor McDavid, I would assume that whomever gets the contract first is going to be the lesser paid of the two by the time 2027 rolls around. And that's assuming they both re-sign. If Quinn Hughes becomes a free agent, this guy's making $20+ million on the market. You know the price is going to go that high. Heck, Seattle could probably offer this guy $22 million, and he's going to say no because screw Seattle. Everybody doesn't want to go to Seattle. Either way, okay, I apologize. That was really mean. But it happened twice. Panarin and Robertson. You could imagine if a free agent of Quinn Hughes' caliber is on the market. Those Seattle Kraken folks are probably going to really try to get Kraken on that, only for them to ultimately be rejected. But with that said, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Elliotte Friedman's hit on NHL Network, speaking out about the Quinn Hughes situation? What kind of toner do you think he should use? Fill in the blanks in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed this British Roll 99, and bye.